Hello everyone, hi, welcome back to the channel of Wall Street Mojo. Watch the video till the end, and if you're new to this channel, then you can subscribe us by clicking the bell icon. Today we have a topic with us is triple net lease. Now what exactly this is all about, we'll try and understand. The word triple net lease, the one which we don't hear very frequent. That's why this topic has been taken. See, a triple net lease, I'll just write what is first. A triple net lease. Okay. So it is, one of the lease agreements between a lessor and the lessee and lessee and about any particular property where the lessee will be responsible for paying the property taxes for that assets, the insurance amount, and also any repairs required for the particular asset during the lease. Since the tenant, or what we call as over here lessee, since over here the lessee is paying everything that the lessor is actually responsible for payment, in a triple lease net lease, the rent of the property is usually much lower because of this particular reason than the amount of the normal lease agreement, where the taxes, insurance, and maintenance, they have been paid by the owner of the property. So it is also referred as net lease. That's called triple N. Okay, triple N lease due to a peculiar nature, and its amount is calculated by using capitalization cap rate, which is also known as the cap rate. And this rate depends on the credit worthiness of the particular lease. Now there are type of lease. What are the type of lease? See, there are three kind of net lease. As you can perceive, the triple net lease is the most unique among all. And let's have a look at three different type of variation in the net lease. First, there is a thing called a single net lease. Now, in this type of net lease, the tenant of the lessee has to pay the property taxes along with the amount of the lease. The tenant has to pay, okay? Now, since the tenant is paying only one additional payment along with the lease amount, it's called the single net lease. Again, you have that's called double net lease. In this type of net lease, the tenant needs to pay the property taxes and the building insurance. He pays the taxes and the building insurance along with the rent or the lease amount of the property. And since the tenant is paying the two type of expenses along with the lease amount, we call it as the double net lease. Now there is a third type that's called triple net lease. Now what is this? See, as you already know, in case of this net lease, the tenant has to pay three separate payments. Okay, he has to make a three separate payments for taxes, insurance, and also the maintenance expenses that's required during the duration mentioned in the agreement. Now what about the investment in triple net lease? See, it is a great investment instrument, but it's beneficial when the investor follows few rules or protocols. Let's have a look at few rules that can make the triple net lease investment beneficial. First is when it's done in the portfolio as a portfolio. If the investor can create a portfolio of the 3 or 4 commercial property and he or she can put them on a triple net lease, the investor gets a lot of benefits. Firstly, the investor does not need to worry about the maintenance, taxes, insurance, and everything is taken care of, and at the same time the investor receives a good return on their investment. Second, when it's done for quite a long time. So since the lease amount is less than the net lease, unless it's done for at least 10 to 15 years, it won't be beneficial. Going for a triple net lease helps the investors get reasonable return for a very long time without any worry or sort of an anxiety. Third, there is built-in rent escalation. Though it's obvious in any lease agreement, still the investor needs to make sure that the built-in rent escalation clause is included in the agreement. It means every year the investor would get an what we call as increment in the lease amount, and as a result there's no worries about the return, and the investor would get more return every year. Now let's consider the benefits part of the triple net lease for the investor. See, there are couple of eligibility criteria that the investor has to have to use a triple net lease for their property. The first point is the investor should have the net worth of $1 million that too without including the primary residence she owns or he or she owns. Or else investor should have an income of 2 lakh or closely 3 lakh dollars if you're applying as a joint filler. The second point is, let's say that you are a small investor and you don't have the prescribed income or the net worth. Can you go for the net triple lease? The answer is yes, but it is subject to criteria. To participate in this kind of net lease, the smaller investor should invest in real estate investment, REITs, that concentrates on the similar property in the portfolio of the investor. Now, what benefits the lessee would get? What benefits the lessee will get? See, the bigger question is why the lessee would agree to such a lease that offers the lessor so many benefits. Why? See, does the lessee not want the benefits from the lease too? The answer is yes. And the lessee also gets the benefit in the triple lease. Since the lessor does not need to pay the insurance, taxes, and maintenance, the lessee does not need to pay to do much rent for the properties he or she takes. So as a result, the lessee can save a lot of money on rent by agreeing to go for such lease. However, this is only benefit a lessee gets from the triple net lease. If you have any term like turnkey, okay, this kind of term, have you ever heard? See, in your lease agreement, the chances are there the agreement is triple net. Okay. And as lessee, the expenses may exceed the benefit you receive. So be aware before you sign up for 10 to 15 years of triple net lease agreement. Now, my final conclusion on this that a triple net lease is a beneficial, but it's important in which side you are in. Like if you are acting as a lessor and going for this net lease, then it would be beneficial for you. But if you're accepting it as lessee, then it's better to avoid because the benefits you would get is lower compared to the payment you need to pay. So you might think that you are only paying three kinds of payment and a smaller amount of rent, but realize that at the end of every year the rent would increase as per the what we call as the market rate, right? And as a result, you would need to pay more money for the next 10 to 15 years for the properties you rent. As a lessee, you better avoid triple net lease and go for normal lease. Take a help of a reputed attorney whenever you go to sign the net lease agreement. That's it for this particular topic. If you have learned and liked the video, if you think that if you have enjoyed and learned watching this video, please like, comment on this video and subscribe to our channel for all the latest updates. Thank you everyone. Cheers.